Aaron Beard with the Associated Press here in Raleigh. Joe's proven he can be a go-to scorer for you. Joe Harris last year, Malcolm's hit some big shots. How well have they played off of each other, and how much has that helped you this year with your team?
Yeah, it has. Having Malcolm, his ability to put pressure on the defense by getting to the paint, drawing fouls, hitting some big shots has certainly helped Joe. And then I think having at times a little more balance inside, outside, whether it's Anthony Gill or different guys you can throw it. It makes the defense not be able to stack the deck as they did at times last year against Joe. And that's made us, I think, a little more potent offensively at different times.
Let's go back in the middle. Thank you, Justin.
Hey, Tony. Do you enjoy playing against teams that are opposite philosophy to you, like Memphis? You know, it seems like they want to get up and down at all costs. Do you enjoy that challenge of that?
Well, it certainly is a great challenge. I mean, I'll tell you how enjoyable it is after the game. But anytime you play a team that has the ability to score, the points in transition, and the way they score in the paint and their quickness, it tests what you try to take away on a game-by-game basis. And so, you got to be as ready for it as you can. You know what you have to do. Can you execute it? You might not do it perfectly every possession, but you better do it the majority of the possessions. And I think we've talked about this before, who can get to their game first and execute it well, because they're trying to speed you up. So there's a few things you have to do well to be in this game, and we're aware of those, and we will have to be as ready as we can. But watching them and seeing how quick they get down the floor and things they do is certainly impressive.
Okay, Antoine, we're going to go back there, and then we'll come up and get David next.
Coach Grant Miller, 24/7 Sports. We were just talking to Joe and Akil about your transition defense, how you guys are giving up 3.2 fast break points per game. How have you been able to instill that non-negotiable in your team and keep it up for a full season?
I think when we've done it well, it's given us success, and I think I don't know if it doesn't get you a victory, but it at least can be an equalizer. And I think our guys know. It's a discipline. There's some things we work on daily on it, or when we're in practice, but they've seen results when they've had their defense set. It's hard to play defense when you're backpedaling, or when guys can get to the paint and kind of slice you up. So that's something that, again, from day one, we said there's a few things. You said non-negotiables. We use that word a lot, and that's one of them. Make teams, to the best of our abilities, play against a set defense, because when you do that, it can change the game, and we've gone against some good ones in our league. This is as good as most we've seen with how quick they get down the floor and how many points they average. So there's a discipline to it, how many guys you send back, how hard they go back with vision, how good your guys that go to the offensive glass, how quickly they respond, and it's kind of a corralling group effort, building walls, doing all those things that are really important to at least make them play against a set defense, and then you got other battles to overcome, but that's got to be the first one you win.
Let's get David in the third row, and then we'll go back there.
Tony, not to suggest that London's not important every night, but how essential will he be tomorrow in that battle of styles, so to speak?
Yeah, he did a great job last night. Really got us going when we were struggling. But your point guards are real important, because he'll if we match him up on Johnson, whoever, it's going to be our team against a guy like that. But he's so quick. He may be the quickest we've gone against, certainly one of them, but perhaps the quickest. So your ability to try to stay down and keep him in front, make him shoot the shots, relying on the help, but handling the ball because of the pressure you face, all those things, is a lot's required. And we're going to need one of his best performances. We know that, or one of his most steady performances. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he's been that for us when we've played our best ball. So we'll expect it, but that's where all of our perimeter guys have to be ready. And I think London knows what's needed, and he's got a great challenge in front of him. But knowing him, I think he's really looking forward to it.
Let's go here, and then we'll get Joe next.
Coach, is it hard to believe that less than a week ago you were cutting down the nets at the ACC championship? I mean, it's been such a quick week, kind of a whirlwind.
Yeah, I thought about it. This will be our 5th game in 8 days, so you're playing a lot of games. So, you want to take the quality basketball you played in that and carry it on, but you're in. This is a special tournament, so whatever happened, happened. And that's the past. I told our guys many times, we'll have time after the season to celebrate all those things. This is about establishing what we have to do. And let's learn from when we played against the Carolinas, though we didn't play in the tournament, other teams that were so good in transition, in quick guards, when we had success against them, what we have to do against this Memphis team. But you're just kind of advancing to the next step. We use that staircase mentality, 2 feet on the step. Our next step is Memphis and 2 feet on it. And, of course, we're not going to overlook that or put 1 foot on that step. That's the last 7 games of the year. That was our mentality. And it's what's next, and that's certainly the opportunity to play well and try to advance is a great opportunity.
Antoine, if you could get Joe and Justin, we're going to need to go in the middle next.
Joe Giglio, Raleigh News Observer here. Coach, I have a theory that you don't like you don't like the ACC. It seems like you really embarrassed all the teams in the ACC during the season, and then outside the league, you guys have had some of your struggles. It might just be the timing of the season, but why do you think your team has played so much better inside the league than out?
I mean, we've played solid basketball, certainly inside the league. Outside of the league, I think the majority of you find yourself in the non-conference. Non-conference is, I think, about finding your – well, actually, I'll even start. The scrimmages are about – we played 2 scrimmages. We played Georgetown and we played Marquette in our closed-door scrimmages. Those are about kind of figuring out, all right, what kind of identity do we have to establish? How do we need to play? Non-conference ball is about, okay, what's going to help us? What do we got to learn about ourselves heading into conference play? It really is. And we saw a lot of holes. We saw some good things, but a lot of holes from the Tennessee game, Wisconsin, Green Bay, the games we struggled with. Then you get into conference play, and that's about taking what you've established and trying to own your home court and become a really good road team. You get into the conference tournament, and it's about establishing a level of play that'll work in the national tournament. And I think we've improved from those out-of-conference games. I mean, that was our last non-conference game besides this last one was, December, whatever. We've become a better team because we've learned and we've tried to improve. And so I think we've just, over the course of that, we've learned some lessons well and have gotten better. I don't dislike the ACC at all, and our struggles out of conference, I think, were earlier in the year, and I mean, you're alluding to maybe last night, but certainly Coastal Carolina played well. I thought we played a solid second half to get us in that spot, and again, it's Memphis next.
Okay, if we could go there, and then Justin, if you could come up front and get Doug.
Tony, middle here, you mentioned Carolina. I wondered, were there any games this year where you felt you guys got too sped up, you let the pace kind of get out of hand for what you
Certainly.
wanted to do, and do you bring those up, cite those examples, and do you bring them up to the team in this sort of setting?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's ever been for a whole game, but certainly possessions or stretches of games where you felt being impatient or being sped up, trying to shoot quick, where it's cost us. And certainly you got to remember the good things that have gotten you to the point of playing well, but you're, I think, foolish if you don't look at the things that cost you. You have to remember the things that cost you. Those are the greatest teachers, and certainly we talk about those, and I think our guys are smart enough to know, look, I remember when we got sped up, whether it was Carolina or Maryland or, I go to a few of those, say, remember those moments that we can't let happen, and I think those are great warnings for how we'll have to play and the things to be cautious of against Memphis.
Let's get Doug. Antoine, if you can do the black jacket next.
Could you talk about Evan's year and just your thoughts on last night and how happy you were for him?
Yeah, very rewarding. He, Evan, we've kind of played him a little more as a 3. I alluded to that last night in the press conference, but he's just been patient. He's worked real hard in practice, and I think it's Florida State. Darian Atkins gave us a great lift, who hasn't been playing a ton of minutes in the conference tournament. And then last night it was Evan, kind of guys you wouldn't expect that weren't in that main rotation to step up. And those are significant victories for us. And to see, whenever you see that, when those guys who've been patient, who desperately want to play more, but have, to the best of their abilities, accepted their roles, knowing that they want more, that's what you want because they're competitive. When you see them then get a chance in that setting and they shine or they help the team, that's very rewarding. I know for them, for their family, and certainly for me as a coach, because Evan, Darian, all these guys are good guys, and they're about the team, but you're a competitor, so to see it get rewarded, yeah, that was good, and we needed that. Who knows, I might not be sitting here if he hadn't knocked down some of those shots, and to see him give us that lift was big.
Okay, on the inside there in the black. There you go.
Coach, this has sort of been characterized as Memphis athletes against your discipline but plodding kind of ball club. How athletic have you got to be to get back into that defensive set position that you're talking about? Are you guys like undervalued with athleticism?
I think, athleticism, how you define it is, is it strength, is it power, skill? There's different ways to define it. Do they have more team speed than us, and do we have a guy as quick as some of their guards? Perhaps not, but I think we have some decent athleticism in our own ways, and but there'll be a premium, or it'll be such a challenge to fly back, and it is a discipline. I mean, plodding, I've been called that. My teams have before. Great, I'm a Wisconsin guy, so that doesn't bother me if you say plodding too much. But I think we have better athletes than you think, and I think that they're physical, but they know how they have to be, and that test will be real. It will be very real, because I've seen teams be back. That's not even enough, because how quick Jackson is, and these guys, they can get in there. And even if you're back, you got to be back with vision, with other guys, as I said before, walls built, and that's significant.
Okay, we'll go all the way in the back row there, and then we'll come up to you.
CL Brown with ESPN.com. Tony, I was curious, coming into this season, we heard all about the rule emphasis and the freedom of movement, and it kind of seemed like the thought process was going to be like offenses were going to take off. I was wondering why or how were you guys able to kind of make a successful transition to being a defensive team?
Well, I think our defense is based on positioning. We don't extend way on the court. We try to have solid ball pressure, but everything else is predicated on our stance, our position, and it's really a collective defense. So, if you're in good position, hopefully you don't foul as much, and you try to play more with your feet and not your hands. And I think our guys have adjusted well to that. We haven't fouled a ton, and I think just the way our system is, I'm not saying it plays into the new rule changes, but we're a position-based team, and if you're in position, you shouldn't foul, and we try to work hard on that stuff in practice. And I think it's a little easier because of not being so stretched and trying to overwhelm or overpower guys by turning them and getting into passing. That's when it gets tough. So we try to help with our other guys and not just do it one-on-one, and I think that's when guys are attacking off the dribble. That's where fouls can occur, and if you have some help built behind you, it's maybe a little more effective to not foul as much. And again, tomorrow that'll be tested.
Okay, Antoine, could just come up one row there. Justin, can you come around? We'll get this guy next.
Michael Cohen from the Commercial Appeal in Memphis. When Memphis was out here a few minutes ago, Joe Jackson said that he doesn't think the Tigers have seen a defensive team like Virginia this year. But on the flip side, he doesn't think Virginia has seen a team with guards that are as quick as the ones that they have. And I'm curious if there's a team on your schedule this year that you could point to whose backcourt might be sort of in the same realm in terms of quickness and team speed.
Yeah, I think I said he might be the quickest. I'm going to give my alma mater a plug. We went against Green Bay, and their guard was really quick. Now, Maryland has some quick guards. You go against Page. In the ACC, there are some quick guards, but they have 2 or 3 of them, and he may be the quickest. He might be right in that. And I know they played against good defensive teams. I know Coach Brown, we played against SMU. They defend in that league, and there are good defensive teams in that league, Cincinnati going down the list. But that's the challenge. Someone asked me, I think you asked me that first question, that's the exciting part about, okay, can this system, can our togetherness hold up against that kind of speed and quickness? And we'll find out tomorrow. We've gone against Shane Larkin. I mean, I know I'm going back. Ish Smith, I'm going way back. But some guys who were really quick. And they challenged us. And at times we did well, and at times we didn't. It's just how ready we are, how set, how alert, that will determine that. So, but he's got some stuff. I know that he's got the gears, and I wish I could go back and say, I played against Muggsy Bogues, and he was really quick, but that doesn't help our guys. So, but I understand what that quickness can do to you if you don't corral it and contain it.
Let's go right here, and then we'll get David, and then you.
Coach, you talked last night and today about how much harder Evan's been working in practice and how competitive he's been. I was wondering if you have to keep him motivated while he's seen his minutes kind of drop off kind of significantly this year, and also why hasn't he got more playing time if he's been so competitive in practice? Is it depth? Is it matchups?
Yeah, I think it's always a challenge for players when they're not playing as much, but as he saw yesterday, you don't know when your number is going to be called, whether it's foul trouble, injuries, or just the game dictates that. You need something. And so that's why him being a sophomore, he's in his second year, the ability to really fight, to stay as ready as he can and have a big picture mentality. That's what we talk about. That's what we motivate and tell him how valuable he is to the team. Why hasn't he played more this year? You know, we've been pretty successful. We've shortened our rotation. And you know, on the perimeter, we've shortened it. We've gone more with probably the four guards. He's sort of the fifth at times, and we played him more as a four yesterday. It's just sort of the way it's gone and the way we've been playing. That's again, one of the things that you got to stick with. But you're always a play away, a foul away, an injury away from stepping into that spot, and that's why I like it that these guys work. And that's our job as coaches, to encourage them, to work with them after. Try to do that with Darion, with Tevin, and all those guys. So, you know, that should give him confidence. Hopefully, if he's in there tomorrow, ready, but certainly for his future.
Okay, Antoine, let's get David here in the third row, and then we'll go back 2 rows.
Tony, you've spoken frequently in the past couple of weeks about building a program, and it seems invaluable that you've had staff stability throughout your tenure at Virginia. How do you, as the leader, balance almost your natural selfish inclination to want to keep the group intact with also wanting maybe to promote them, you know, to further their own careers? That's got to be a tough balancing act, maybe.
Yeah, no, well, last year, you know, we almost lost Coach Williford. He was a finalist for the American job. And when you have success, when you have someone as established as Coach McKay, who's been a head coach at the Pac-10 at the time, and New Mexico, all those schools, and the up-and-coming guys, Coach Sanchez, they're going to have their opportunities. And, of course, you want them to stay, but that's your job as a head coach. You want them if they desire that. Now, they're in a good situation, and I think they realize that, and there's such camaraderie with our staff. But if they can get jobs and that's their dreams, man, I will do everything I can. And I think what they've learned has been invaluable in being part of trying to build this and get it to a certain level. That, if there's ADs out there, and those are the things I think you look for in a potential head coach that have been part of this. And they'll all make excellent head coaches, of course, but I think they need about 6 more years of seasoning with me, and then they'll be ready to go. That's my thought.
Antoine, right there in the blue.
I was just curious, you know, in the conference tournament, 3 games in 3 days, can that help you this weekend or in this tournament with the short turnaround?
I think, yeah, because certainly physicality, intensity, fatigue, you know, that comes into play. And you say, listen, the intense level you played at after your 3rd game, after back-to-back games against Duke, you got to treat this game the same. You got to have that level of tenacity, whether you're sore, tired, whatever. That's neck up stuff. That's the mental toughness that you need. We've got to have a sharp practice out here, but they got to know there's always more than you think. There's always more mentally and physically than you think you have, and that's what's required. So the fact that they did that for 3 games in a row, or at least that 3rd day, I'd say, indicates that they can do it again.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Coach, thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow.